You think you know someone, you share your life with them, your secrets, your dreams, even your fears, and then one day, without warning, your world cracks open, everything you believed in collapses. That's the thing about betrayal, it doesn't knock before entering, it crashes in like a storm, without mercy, and leaves a mess so deep, you can't even tell what's broken and what's still standing. When someone you love cheats on you, it's not just about the act itself. It's about the destruction of trust, that sacred, silent agreement between two people, that I've got you kind of love, suddenly dies without a sound. At first, you don't even believe it. You replay conversations, revisit memories, overanalyze texts. You try to convince yourself it must be a misunderstanding, a joke, anything but the truth is relentless. It doesn't care how kind you were, how loyal, how deeply you loved. The moment you realize it really happened, when you can no longer deny it, is the moment the emotional collapse begins. Your body reacts before your mind can process it. Your chest tightens, your stomach turns, your heart races like it's trying to escape your own ribcage. You may cry, you may scream, or you may just sit in complete silence, numb, as if your soul has left your body. For some, the pain is instant, raw, and blinding. For others, it creeps in slowly, like poison spreading through the bloodstream. One moment you're okay, pretending it's all a bad dream. The next, you're curled up on the floor, unable to breathe. There's no script for this kind of heartbreak. Some people feel rage, others feel shame. Most feel lost, like the very foundation of their life has crumbled, because in many ways it has. You start to question everything. Was any of it real? Did they ever love me? How could I have missed the signs? What did I do wrong? That's the cruel trick of betrayal. It makes you doubt yourself more than the person who hurt you. It leaves you drowning in guilt for crimes you didn't commit. It convinces you that maybe you weren't enough, when in truth, no one deserves to be broken this way. And here's the thing no one tells you. The first few days after betrayal feel like death. Not a physical death, but an emotional one. The version of you that loved without fear, that believed in forever. That version dies. And in its place, you're left with someone you don't recognize. Someone scared, hardened, empty. You try to go about your day, brush your teeth, make coffee, pretend to be okay, but every little thing reminds you. A song, a smell, a moment, even silence becomes too loud to bear. Your thoughts are no longer your own. They're hijacked by why, and how, and what now. You may isolate yourself, avoid your friends. Lie about how you're doing. You may smile in front of people, and then collapse in private, because explaining this kind of pain feels impossible. How do you explain the feeling of being shattered by someone who once made you feel whole? Some people call it heartbreak, but it's more than that. It's a deep emotional collapse. It's grief, not just for the relationship, but for the person you thought they were, and the future you thought you had. This phase is brutal, but it's also human. You're not weak for feeling it. You're not dramatic for being devastated. You're just real. You love deeply. And that means the betrayal cuts deeply too. And even though right now it feels like this pain will last forever. It won't, not exactly. It will change, it will soften. But for now, if you're in this moment, if you're in that first wave of shock, know this, you're not alone. Millions of people have walked this path, and many have come out stronger, wiser, and more powerful on the other side. But don't rush there. Don't force healing. Let yourself grieve. Let yourself feel. Because sometimes the only way to survive the collapse is to sit in the ruins long enough to understand what broke. You don't need to fix everything today. You just need to breathe, one moment at a time. **2. Questioning self, worth and trust *** after the initial shock of betrayal fades. Something even more dangerous begins to creep in: self-doubt. At first, the pain is loud, overwhelming, and chaotic. But then it quiets down, and that's when the real damage begins. Because now, instead of feeling everything, you begin to question everything, especially yourself. You start with the smallest, most innocent thoughts. Did I do something wrong? Was I too emotional? Did I not give enough, or did I give too much? And then the questions grow darker. Was I ever truly loved? Am I even lovable? Was I just a placeholder until someone better came along? This is the part of betrayal that no one talks about, the way it seeps into your sense of identity, how it rewrites your internal narrative. You don't just mourn the loss of the relationship, you mourn the loss of who you were in it. The confident, trusting, hopeful version of yourself starts to fade, replaced by a version that constantly guesses everything. Every glance in the mirror becomes a quiet interrogation. Is this why they left? You scrutinize your body, your smile, your words. You remember moments where you laughed too loud, cried too hard, trusted too fast. Suddenly, the qualities that once made you who you are now feel like weaknesses. You wonder if your love was too big, too soft, too vulnerable. You begin to see your openness as a flaw, something that made you easy to hurt. And even worse, betrayal breaks your trust, not just in your partner, but in people in general. You start questioning the sincerity of others. You hear "I love you," and instead of warmth, you feel fear. Do they mean it? Will they change their mind tomorrow? Are they hiding something too? You try to believe again, but there's a voice inside your head that whispers, "Remember what happened last time?" You become suspicious of kindness. You overanalyze conversations. You look for red flags where there may be none, just to protect yourself from being blindsided again. And that vigilance becomes exhausting. Because the truth is, you don't want to live with your guard up. You want to trust. You want to feel safe. But safety feels like a luxury now, not a right. The betrayal also damages the most vital relationship you have, the one with yourself. You stop trusting your own judgment. How could I not have seen the signs? How did I miss the lies? Was I so blinded by love that I ignored reality? These questions don't just come once. They loop endlessly. And each time, they chip away at your inner voice. You used to believe in your ability to navigate love, to read people, to sense when something was off. But now you hesitate before making decisions. You don't trust your feelings, you guess your instincts. You go back and forth, stuck in a cycle of self-doubt, afraid to listen to your own heart. And that's the real betrayal. Not just that someone broke your heart, but that they made you question your ability to protect it. You begin to wonder if you're broken, if something inside you is fundamentally flawed. And when you carry that belief, you carry it into every future interaction, every potential relationship. You become hesitant, careful, guarded. You might even start pushing people away. Not because you don't want connection, but because you're afraid of reliving that pain. You'd rather be alone than be fooled again. You become your own protector and your own prisoner. You smile less, you open up less, you keep people at a distance, not to punish them, but to protect yourself. And yet, deep down, all you want is to feel safe again, to love without fear, to trust without needing proof. But trust, once shattered, is the hardest thing to rebuild, especially when it's not just about trusting others. It's about trusting yourself again. You'll likely hear people tell you, it's not your fault. And maybe part of you believes them, but the part that's still bleeding, still confused, still trying to make sense of the pain, that part won't let go so easily. It needs time, reassurance, patience. Healing from betrayal isn't just about moving on from the person who hurt you. It's about rebuilding the broken pieces inside of you. It's about reminding yourself of who you were before the pain. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that were silenced by doubt. You start small. Maybe it's just choosing to trust one small thing, a decision, a friend, a gut feeling. Maybe it's looking in the mirror and saying, "I am enough," even if you don't fully believe it yet. Maybe it's letting someone in just a little, testing the waters of vulnerability again. Because the truth is, what was done to you says more about them than it ever will about you. Betrayal is a reflection of their choices, not your worth. You are not defined by someone's inability to value you. You are not responsible for their dishonesty, their selfishness, or their lies. You were real. You loved honestly, you showed up, and even if it ended in pain, that's something to be proud of. Not everyone has the courage to love with their whole heart. So yes, betrayal makes you question everything, your worth, your trust, your voice. But in time, those questions can lead to answers that rebuild you, not into who you were before, but into someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who knows their worth not because it was confirmed by someone else, but because they fought to remember it on their own. And that is a kind of healing that no one can take away. **** 3. Confrontation and the search for answers ***. There comes a moment after betrayal when silence becomes unbearable. The hurt simmers beneath the surface, and you realize that healing can't truly begin without facing the person who caused it. As much as part of you wants to walk away forever, another part craves something more, answers, closure, an explanation that might help you make sense of the chaos inside. Confrontation isn't about revenge. It's not about screaming or punishing. It's about trying to understand. When someone you trusted betrays you, they don't just take your peace. They leave behind 100 unanswered questions. And those questions echo constantly. Why? When did it start? Was it just once? Did you ever really love me? So you prepare yourself to ask. You rehearse in your mind. You imagine staying calm, composed, in control. But the truth is, no amount of preparation can make confrontation easy. Because standing face to face with someone who broke your heart is like standing in the wreckage of a home you built together. Every word feels like it could bring the whole thing down again. When you finally confront them, their reaction can wound you all over again. Sometimes they deny it. Sometimes they minimize it. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. It just happened. Those words can feel like knives. Careless, cold, dismissive. And yet you still listen, hoping that somewhere in the mess there will be something that brings clarity, something that will stop the questions from haunting you. Other times they admit it, they confess. But even that doesn't bring the peace you expected, because now the truth is undeniable. Now you have to face the reality of what was done to you, with no room left for denial or hope that maybe, just maybe, it was all a misunderstanding. In that moment, a part of you may still be searching for remorse, for a sign that they understand the depth of the damage. You want them to see the pain in your eyes and feel it too. You want them to acknowledge not just the betrayal, but what it cost you, your peace of mind, your faith in love, your sense of safety. But the hard truth is, sometimes you won't get the apology you deserve. Sometimes they won't understand the gravity of what they did, or they'll try to shift blame, make excuses, or pretend it wasn't that bad. And that can be just as painful as the betrayal itself. Still, confrontation can serve a purpose. It may not give you the closure you hoped for, but it gives you the truth. And truth, no matter how brutal, is better than the lies you tell yourself in its absence. Because without it, your mind fills in the blanks with assumptions that often hurt more than reality ever could. In confronting them, you also reclaim your voice. Betrayal takes so much from you, but speaking your truth, saying how it made you feel, expressing the depth of your pain, is a powerful step in healing. You are no longer just a victim of what happened. You are someone who is choosing to face it head on with courage. It's also during this process that you begin to realize something important. Closure doesn't come from them. It comes from you. It's not about the answers they give, it's about what you do with them. It's about choosing to release the need for validation from the very person who devalued you. It's about recognizing that no answer will ever be good enough to justify the hurt. And that's okay. Sometimes the search for answers leads to more pain, but other times it brings clarity, not necessarily about why they did it, but about who they are and who you are without them. You see things more clearly. Patterns, behaviors, warning signs. You begin to understand that betrayal wasn't a reflection of your worth. It was a reflection of their wounds, their choices, their inability to value something pure. This confrontation, though painful, can be a turning point. It shifts the focus from the betrayal itself to the path forward. You've faced the storm. You've stood in the truth. Now, the healing is yours to claim. And healing doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending the pain didn't happen. It means learning to live with it, to make peace with the past without being owned by it, to move forward with eyes wide open, heart still intact, and dignity stronger than ever. You may never fully understand why someone you loved could hurt you the way they did, but in confronting them, you make a powerful statement, not just to them, but to yourself, that your pain matters, your voice matters, and your healing is in your hands now. **4. Isolation and emotional withdrawal *** after betrayal. Something inside you changes, subtly at first, then entirely. You start withdrawing from the world, not because you want to, but because you feel like you have to. It's like a part of you shuts down, instinctively trying to shield what's left of your heart. The vibrant, open, trusting version of you fades into the background, replaced by someone quieter, more guarded, more distant. You stop replying to messages. You ignore calls from friends. You find excuses not to go out, not to talk, not to engage. It's not that you don't want connection. You do, deeply, but you're terrified of it now. Every attempt at closeness feels like a risk. Every kind gesture feels suspicious. You start to wonder, what if it happens again? So instead of risking more hurt, you choose distance. Silence becomes your comfort, and solitude becomes your safety net. You go through your day like a ghost. You show up at work. You sit with people. You smile when you have to. But inside, you feel invisible, like no one really sees what you're going through. And how could they? You've become a master at hiding it. You wear your pain like armor, invisible but heavy. No one notices the way your heart sinks during conversations, the way you flinch at certain words, or how your eyes dart away when someone mentions love. And when you're finally alone, truly alone, that's when the weight hits hardest. The silence that once felt safe becomes suffocating. Your thoughts grow louder. Doubt creeps in. Guilt shows up uninvited. You begin to question everything, not just your past, but your future. Will I ever feel whole again? Will I ever trust someone again? Will I ever let anyone this close? That emotional withdrawal doesn't just affect your relationships. It affects your relationship with life. Things that once brought you joy now feel meaningless. Your favorite music doesn't sound the same. Food loses its taste. Time moves slowly, yet every day blurs into the next. You're alive, but you're not living. You're just surviving. The people around you may notice. They may ask, "Are you okay?" And you'll probably say, "I'm fine," not because you are, but because explaining this pain feels impossible. How do you explain that you're not just sad? You feel disconnected from everything? How do you say, "I don't know how to be myself anymore," without sounding broken? And the irony is, this isolation only deepens the pain, because betrayal already made you feel abandoned by one person. And now, in pulling away from others, it starts to feel like the whole world is abandoning you too. It's a slow, quiet collapse that happens behind closed doors. But this withdrawal isn't weakness. It's a defense mechanism. It's your mind and heart trying to protect what's left. It's a way of saying, I need time, I need space. I need to feel safe again before I can let the world back in. You may find yourself revisiting memories over and over again. Not because you want to, but because your mind is searching for answers, replaying every detail, trying to rewrite the past or make sense of what went wrong. It's exhausting. You're caught between needing to understand and wishing you could forget. Sometimes you convince yourself that being alone forever is better than being hurt again. You start building walls so high that even the idea of love feels threatening, and it doesn't take long before you forget what it felt like to be vulnerable, to be open, to be fully alive. But beneath all that silence and distance, there's still a spark, a small part of you that wants to come back, to feel again, to laugh again. Not the forced laugh you used to get through the day, but the real kind, the kind that comes from somewhere deep and genuine. That part of you may be quiet right now, hidden beneath layers of pain and fear, but it's still there, it's waiting, not to be rescued but to feel safe enough to return. And eventually, when the time is right, you'll reach for connection again. Maybe in small ways. A conversation with a friend, a moment of honesty, a shared laugh. Little by little you'll rebuild, not all at once, not without fear, but with courage, because healing from emotional withdrawal isn't about rushing back into the world. It's about slowly learning to trust again, to believe that not everyone will break you, that not every connection ends in pain, that love, real love, can survive even after betrayal. For now, if you're still in the quiet, still wrapped in isolation, know this, it's okay. You're not broken, you're healing, and healing sometimes looks like solitude. Sometimes it looks like stillness. Sometimes it means disappearing for a while so you can come back stronger, clearer, and more whole than before. **5. Fear of future relationships **. When someone breaks your trust so deeply, the damage doesn't stay in the past, it follows you forward. Even after the betrayal ends, even after the tears dry, the fear lingers. It embeds itself into the way you think, the way you love, the way you move toward, or away from, new people. Because now, relationships aren't just about love, they're about risk. You may want to love again. You may crave it even, but there's something different now, a voice in your head that wasn't there before. It whispers, *be careful, don't fall too fast, don't trust too easily, don't get too close. You start weighing everything, calculating every step second, guessing your instincts. And what once felt natural, connection, intimacy, vulnerability, now feels dangerous. You meet someone new, and instead of excitement, you feel tension. You scan for red flags. You overanalyze their words, their body language, their silence. You want to believe they're different, but your mind keeps showing you flashbacks of what happened last time. You're not just afraid of being hurt. You're afraid of being fooled again. That kind of fear doesn't just sit quietly in the background. It shapes your every move. You might keep people at a distance, not because you don't care, but because caring feels unsafe. You think, *, if I don't get too close, they can't hurt me, *, and so you hold back. You hide pieces of yourself. You avoid deep conversations. You steer away from commitment, even when part of you wants it. But the real tragedy is how this fear starts to rewrite your idea of love. You begin to associate closeness with pain, promises with lies, vulnerability with weakness. You tell yourself it's better to be alone than to risk another heartbreak. And while solitude can sometimes be healing, fear-based isolation only reinforces the wound. This fear doesn't just affect romantic relationships. It bleeds into friendships, family ties, and even your relationship with yourself. You become cautious in ways you never were before. You start assuming the worst in people, expecting betrayal before it happens, and pulling away before someone has the chance to leave you. Sometimes, someone genuinely kind will come along, someone patient, respectful, present. And yet you hesitate, not because of anything they've done, but because your heart still remembers the betrayal. You wonder if maybe love just isn't worth the cost anymore, if every smile comes with an expiration date. If every "I love you" is just the beginning of another lie, you try to remind yourself not everyone is like the one who hurt you, but healing is not just about logic, it's about rewiring emotion, and that takes time. A lot of time, especially when the pain went deep. You may also find yourself comparing everyone new to the person who betrayed you, their tone, their habits, their words, not because you miss the past, but because your brain is trying to avoid repeating it. You become your own detective, scanning for danger where none may exist, and in doing so, you sometimes push away the very thing you need most, genuine connection. The fear of future relationships isn't weakness, it's a scar. A reminder of how deeply you loved and how badly that love was mishandled. But scars don't mean you're broken, they mean you've survived. Eventually, there will come a day when someone makes you feel safe again, not because they're perfect, but because they're patient. Because they understand that trust now takes more time, that your heart isn't closed, it's just cautious. That love after betrayal is slower, quieter, but often stronger, because it's built with intention, not illusion. You'll begin to see that the fear itself is a sign of your depth. You were hurt deeply because you loved deeply, and that capacity for love, that tenderness, is still in you, untouched, waiting. So while betrayal teaches fear, healing teaches courage. And slowly you'll start letting people in again, one step at a time, not because you forget the past, but because you choose not to let it define your future. Now, if you are a daring personality, leave it and start a new life. Also subscribe us. Thanks.